Morning. Thought that I would look at drawing perhaps a field of little growing grasses, something starting from a point and kind of flicking, quickly moving upwards several times. Let that resolve. We can begin to form a little sprout of or clumping of grass there in the field. And so that'll be the simple technique of putting the pen down and kind of striking it or flicking it upwards several times around roughly the same starting place will give us a small little clumping of grass or field there. We'll do several of those, spreading them out around the page, kind of like we might be looking over them. They can overlap, be behind, intersect, do all sorts of things. And then once we've established that, seeing how it goes, perhaps giving them a little bit of a base, maybe a small circle, oval, hexagon, or square, just something that establishes them with some space on the page. Gives them a little, maybe like planter bucket shape, but any kind of shape there. And again, if we have some time, maybe extend that down and just give each one a little presence on an island. But primarily we'll be going through the sprouting of grass, and that you can develop any of your own technique that builds from that reference or metaphor, but we'll use it in that nice, continuous, repetitive motion to enter into that space on our page, open up some emptying of the mind to bring attention to where we are and what we are doing. To begin that, just take a couple of deep breaths, letting your hands rest. You can put down the pen or pencil or keep it as we just acclimate to that territory of the paper. As you breathe in, perhaps tracing an outline around the page with the tips of the fingers. If it's a sketchbook, feeling its single page bound to others. If it's a single sheet on a table, feeling that transition, the slight raising of a thin sheet of paper, whatever surface is below. Perhaps closing the eyes for a few breaths as you track along that exterior and just get a spatial sense. Breathing in a little deeply, breathing out a little heavily, just to calm into that space of the page. Once you've taken a few breaths, we can begin that drawing on the paper. I'm going to start towards the top of my page and kind of work towards myself, perhaps a little perspective, starting with short clumps, breathing in to find a location, breathing out as I move the pen up and kind of flick little sprouts or blades of grass. And after 7 or 8 of those, moving to a new location. This first few might be kind of slow with the breathing, taking a breath in to locate and out to move, letting that breath settle so we don't get too fast. We won't have to move at this pace the whole time, but to begin and establish where we are and what we are doing, a connection between our breath and an action, finding presence in the technique, slowly clustering a few wisps of line to build up into an image expressed out through the motion of our pen, expressed out in a connection between what we might see inside an imagination and what we recognize externally on the page. And with that slow rhythm established, we can let the hand begin to move freer from that breathing rhythm. Let the breathing fall into its regular nature. Still aware of it, so it may not speed up to match too much our motion of our hand and become a little tight or hyperventilating. Every once in a while we'll check in, and now the hand can begin to move along that established trajectory. And this might be a moment to bring in some counting to our mindfulness, how many strokes we make for each cluster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'll only do a couple and let you count at your own pace. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Slowly spreading out a little staggeredly. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Choosing a number 8 just to be the focus of attention. 6, 7, 8. For a little while to establish some rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A new pacing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. An act of consistency, of attention in the moment of action, keeping us tethered for a little while to what we're creating out on the page. And as you begin perhaps your own count, a pulsing with the drawing, with the finding of location, a pulsing with the action, gradually accumulating a sequence of wisps and clustered vines to a little field growing into space. Some may be tall, some short, some densely packed, some loose, as our accuracy and positioning may change a little over time. Some can expand out, branch, feather. Others may be tightly bound in stalks. Just light little wisps. And check in a little bit with where you are in the drawing, this field growing. Can you time it to a sequence of numbers like we did with the counting? Or time it to the rhythms or oscillations of the breath, finding for a few moments of quiet drawing a rhythm that works for you. Counting can be very beneficial in keeping the presence of mind in the space of the action, a tether to reduce the wobble outwards into other thoughts, a marking 1, 2, 3, 4 of rhythm, pace of our engagement. It'll take 5 minutes or so to continue to grow and fill out the field at your own pace, to explore, to see where it may take you. Needed a little time of sitting in quiet to let the mind open up, process what might be around it, think through different avenues that in the moment can become clouded by a little bit of panic or frustration. And hopefully exercises we give to ourselves, like a little doodle or drawing, can just unravel some of that twisted, intersecting confusion of background thoughts, bringing more clarity into the situation. Chance for memory and knowing to move through us, to move ignited by that action of the hand, the engagement of the eye, many systems at once working together, lighting up a vast network of neurons, adjacent perhaps by luck or by training to another place in the mind, holding that bit of information, trying to latch onto, connecting enough dots to make a clear decision. But as we all maybe now have a bit of a field of clumps of grass, spikes of hair, we can take a few minutes to scan through that territory. I'm going to start at the front towards myself and just begin to give a little bit of a elliptical presence at the base of each one of the clumpings, like the top of a pot, or a little demarcation in the soil. The water collects around the denser mat of roots. Perhaps the original intrusion into the earth that the seed makes, or just a graphic circle placing a line into space, transitioning its visual quality from something two-dimensional in a field to something with a little bit more three-dimensional presence. The shape we put around it, here kind of an ellipse, squishing it out, tricking the eye to see depth through the square, or hexagon, or rectangle. The compression, vertical versus horizontal, may change our perception. In this drawing now, with a field gathered, a place to play, to notice what the eyes see, to let go of any configuration, worry of consistency, open up more to the freedom of the exercise, some areas revealing or clarity in the expression of a shape, others perhaps opening new opportunities or thinking how things look to us as we build our own repertoire of representation. We can bring a final exercise of the breath now that we're finding place and presence, giving each circle that attention of a full cycle of breath in where we begin, out as we draw, in to find the starting, and out to complete a cycle along that closed shape path. Slowing down as we approach the closing of the exercise. Opening up all that space we've made through our attention throughout to really relax into the motion now at the end. To embrace the unending of a drawing, an idea, mapping out onto paper through graphite or ink or whatever medium suits your expression. A field like this could be endless, but takes the shape of when we start and stop. Slowly absorbing the time we've put here to creating something new. And whatever it looks like, technical difficulties of the day, opening up possibility for deviation, reinterpretation, for spreading out and finding a unique territory to each of us following along. These slow, final expressions calming us into the next phase coming for the day. And as I've found all my clumps, I believe I'll bring that to the closing of the exercise and a chance to bring some attention back to our space we started in. A nice retracing of the footsteps along the way, breathing in deeply to expand, sipping in a little more to fill out space all around us before letting the air sigh out. And then the next few inhales and exhales, breathing in as you move and track along the edges of the paper. Perhaps closing the eyes, breathing out along an edge of the paper. Feeling the more physical, haptic sensation of the space marked out by the material. Letting the hands or fingertips gradually move across the surface. And a few breaths, just letting them come to rest. Fingertips down, connected to the grooves of the pen or pencil and the paper's fibers. On the next cycle of breath, turning them over, letting the back of the hands rest and the fingertips curl to a relaxed state. Feeling the air move over that open palm. And then opening the eyes if they're closed, taking in whatever may be around. And with a final couple of breaths, coming to a place of gratitude for the time given to the exercise and yourself, and preparing out for the rest of the day.